Hey, what is going on, guys? This is CodedSteele, and welcome to another App Inventor tutorial. And from what you guys can see here, this tutorial is going to be on multiple logins. This is actually a request that I had gotten from a number of you guys, and what I actually mean by a number is I think maybe five of you guys said, hey, you know, this would be a really cool thing to do. I would like to know how to do a multiple login type app. So I being the great guy I am, at least I think, I went ahead and I responded back to these people and said, sure, you know, I'll put this on my to-do list. And originally I wasn't going to do this right away, but I kind of figured, you know what, let's do this first, because the next app I'm thinking about doing is going to be a web-based login. So I figured we would get this out of the way, and then you guys would understand how to do multiple logins. And then if you wanted to in the future, you could adapt this to a multiple web type login app and create an app or a database that a number of people can access. So without further ado then, let's kind of get started here. So what you guys might want to do first is you can either start a new project, or you can go ahead and open up your old login app project that you had and just kind of make it look like this. You guys should know enough about this software now to where you should be able to make this happen pretty easily. I just kind of fancied it up with login, register, rename stuff so it's easy to find in the block editor. Make sure you add in a tiny database. And actually, while we're at it, we're also going to add in a new screen, and we're going to add in the registration, if I can spell correctly, registration screen. And alright, come on, do it. Yes, okay. Already added in the registration screen. Wow, this thing's being weird, behaving oddly. Alright, registration screen, and then we'll just add in what we're going to call the main screen. So those are the two types of screens that I'm going to add in, just to kind of make things a little bit more, you know, organized. Whoa, no, cancel. We don't want a new screen. We got 3 screens. So now you guys should have 3 screens now. A screen 1, a registration screen, and a main screen. So we've kind of got 3 screens going on here now. We'll come back to the registration screen later, but obviously we're going to have to add some crap to it. Screen 1 is pretty much done, and then the main screen, I don't know, maybe we'll just put a label here, and we'll blow it up to 50 font or something, and then just put a, inside of the label we'll just put main screen. I don't know. I'm not really trying to build anything creative here. I'm just trying to show you guys how to make it to where multiple people can log into the same app. So that's how we'll kind of make this happen. There we have it. There's our main screen, our screen 1, and our registration screen, which has nothing on it quite yet, but will in a second, I promise. So anyways, let's go back to the first screen, and let's go into the blocks editor and kind of start doing some stuff with this, making it work the way it's supposed to. So what do we want to do in this screen? Well, it's going to work a lot similarly to the way that we did our other login things that we did. We're just going to have 2 button clicks. As you guys can see, I had 2 buttons there, a login button and a registration button. So registration button, you can just take that and toss it over to the side. We're going to deal with that later. But the login button we're going to deal with right now. And actually what we're going to do first, before we start handling the login button, is we've got to declare 2 variables. And these are going to be exactly like we saw before. I think I named them user and pass, just like I did in my last tutorials. And all we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to drag these blocks in and set them equal to some initial value that we don't really care about what they are anyway. Alright, so now we've got to start actually figuring out how this software is going to work. First of all, when we hit login, what we generally want to happen, just like we had in any other app, is we want it to log us in. And it'll run an evaluation check. It'll check if the user and password is correct, and then it'll do something. Well, we know how to do that because we did that in a past tutorial. But since this is a multiple login app, and we're not just checking one value like we would in our original, Our original tutorials, when we did it, we had one value we were checking, the username and the password, and you could only get it right one time because that's all we allowed was one user to be registered. But in this one, we want multiple users to be registered. So the easiest way I can think of to do this, and there might be another way to do it. I don't think there's really a better way. There's a best way to do this. But I think this is probably the easiest way to do it. That's my opinion. Some people might have a different opinion. But the easiest way I can think of to do it would be to pull the data out of the database first. So that's how I'm going to attack this, is I'm going to pull the data out of the database first. And what you guys are going to see me do here is you're going to see me go ahead. I'm going to copy this and paste it. And then I'm going to do user and pass. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pull the data out of the database like I was saying first before I do anything else. And I'm actually going to do something different. Rather than being concerned with a value in this app, I'm going to actually be concerned with the tag itself, the tag name. That's how I'm going to tackle this one. I don't really care what the value is of the tag. I'm going to care about what the tag name is and if the tag actually exists in the database. Now you guys might be asking, how do we know if the tag exists in the database? The reason we will know that is because this, if it's not in the database, you're going to return an empty string. So if you ever return an empty string, that means the tag doesn't exist. Now, obviously, you could create a tag and send it to an empty value, so you don't really want to do that. You want to have a distinguishing character or distinguishing word that sets a tag apart from a null. And we're going to explain that I'll explain that in a minute, how we're going to handle something like that. But right now, all you guys need to know is you have to kind of understand what I'm going to do with this stuff. And all I'm going to do with this is I'm going to say pull the textbox1.text out. And I'm going to say pull the password textbox1.text out and set them in here. So you guys, just like I was saying before, what you're actually entering into the blanks here in the designer is the actual tags that we're going to look up in the database. So what I'm putting in here is the actual tag name. So my username is going to be a tag name that we're going to look for in the database. We're going to look for that tag to exist. And the reason, like I said, I'm doing it that way is because the other way you'd have to check multiple tags to look for your... So if I had a user 1, a user 2, a user 3, a user 4, I have to check all of the tags to find that value. That's kind of silly to do it that way because now you have to check through every information block in the database with some kind of looping procedure. But if you do it this way, the way I'm doing it, the database will do the looping for you. It's going to check every single thing in that database until it finds that tag anyways, and then it'll pull it out for you. So it does the looping behind the scenes. We don't have to do the looping. That's why I think this is the better way to do it. It lets the app, the more you make the app or the actual application do, or the more you make the programming do, the easier you're making it on yourself. Then there's less work that you have to do. So hopefully that kind of makes sense to you guys why I'm doing it this way. I just think it's a lot easier. Like I said, I don't know if there's better ways to do it, but there's harder ways to do it, I would say. And I think this is probably the easiest way you could possibly do it. But enough of the rambling. What we've got to do now is we've got to do a check. And how do we do a check? We do a check with an if statement. And what we're going to do with that if statement is, and this is really seriously, it's this simple. It's going to be an and it's going to be 2 equals here. And you guys might be wondering, well, what are we going to check? Well, just like we did in our previous tutorials, we're going to check these variables. And what we're going to check these variables for is just for them to be non-null. So what I mean by non-null is user copy pass. Null basically means empty. This is what I would call null. It's empty. There's nothing in there. There's no text, there's no words, there's no nothing. It's just an empty thing. So it's null. There's nothing there. So when I say non-null, what I literally mean is non-equal to this, and we just go ahead and we select the not equal here on that, and we go ahead and we put these two null text boxes in there. I could have just as easily, no, I couldn't have just as easily, doesn't exist in there. So yeah, you have to pull the equals in and then select the not equal through with the line. So if your code doesn't work in the end, make sure you have this little slash bar through the thing, because that's important. Alright, and then we're going to drag that there and drag that there. So now what our app is going to do, or what's going to happen, and actually let me finish it first because we're so close. Screen one. Blah, blah, blah. No, that's not what I want, right? Where's my stuff at? Oh, control. Duh. That's what I was looking for. We're going to look for, nope, not close, not close. Open another screen with screen name, and all we're going to do is, if you succeed, you're going to go to the main screen. And I think I said main screen, like, no, not like that. Got to make sure the spelling is 100% correct. I think that's exactly how I did that, how I named it. Yep, that appears to be capital S. Yep, so we're good. So what this is going to do is it's going to look for these tags that I enter into the text box to exist, and if they do exist, then it's going to go ahead and it's going to say, cool, it exists. It's not equal to null because we're going to assign it to a default value, which we'll do later, which I'm actually going to do right here in a second when we create this. And then we're going to make some stuff happen, and we're going to go to the main screen, and we're just going to stay there. We're not going to really do anything. We're just going to sit on the main screen, and we're going to say cool. And then I guess we might as well throw in an else statement. And all I'm going to do with the else statement is probably I'll just put, I don't know, I'll put a notifier in here. And I don't know. This is getting way too detail oriented. But, you know, in a real app, this is kind of the way you would do it, I guess. Display a temporary notification. Yeah, we'll just do that. And then we'll say incorrect. Incorrect. I don't really care about spelling. Blah, blah, blah. Login. Alright? Cool. So, if neither of these two things exist, we're just going to say incorrect login. So, cool enough. It's that easy. That's good. Alright. Alrighty. So, now we've got to handle registration. How do we handle registration? Registration is going to be extremely simple, because all registration is going to do is it's going to do the same thing that this does, but so when this is clicked, it'll go to the registration screen. Instead, registration screen. Yep, like that. Registration screen. So that's all that's going to do. You're going to go when you click registration, you're just going to go to the registration screen, and we're going to do some stuff to make it to where you can register, and you can be able to log into the app in the future. And honestly, that's all we have to do for the main screen, that is, to create a multiple login app. Now we need to handle the registration screen, how the registration stuff is going to be tackled. So what we need to do with that is the same thing that we did before in previous tutorials. I'm going to lay in these horizontal arrangements, and it's going to be a bunch of just nonsensical stuff, which you guys are extremely familiar with by now, hopefully. How I did all of my previous ones. Instead of text, it's going to be username, blah blah blah. I don't care if I spell stuff wrong, so I get it. I'm spelling stuff wrong as I'm going along. Whatever. Confirm username, blah blah. Okay. And then add another text box. If I can find it. Text box, it's right in front of my face. Okay. And then similarly, we're going to do the same thing again. Add another horizontal arrangement and another horizontal arrangement. See, this is the tedious tasks. Obviously, you guys know how to do all of this stuff by now. I get that, you know, but unfortunately, I gotta still lay all this crap out on the screen. Alright, password, and then confirm password. Alright, and then add the other password text box. Alright, cool. And then a button that says, you know, we'll just again call this reg. We'll just say reg because I'm too lazy to type out register. And we'll rename this reg again. Sure, why not? That sounds good. So when everything is done, the idea will be is that a new username will only be entered into the database if the usernames, these two blanks match, these two blanks match, then we'll allow a user to be registered. So if those conditions aren't met, then the user will not be registered. And then once again, we'll even put a notifier on here. We'll be nice about the way we do things. And that's it. We'll go over to the blocks editor. And everything is going to happen on a button click. So everything here is going to happen on a button click. Whenever something happens, that's when something's going to be done. So how do we do this? How do we handle this here? Exactly the same way we handled the stuff on the other screen. We're going to drag some equals out. And I think we're going to drag, yeah, we need to drag out an and. Yep. Alright. All we're doing, really straightforward, guys. Very straightforward. All it is going to be, you're going to pull the textbox1.text out, and the textbox2.text out, and we're going to drag those into this, and then similarly the same thing with the password textbox.1, .text, password2, .text, and then drag that in there. So all that statement is if the username matches the username and the password matches the password, then we're going to do some stuff. What are we going to do? Very easily, all we're going to do is we're going to actually, this part, we're going to close this screen. No, not that close the screen. We're going to close, blah, blah, blah. Come on. Close screen with value result. So I think I've explained this in a past tutorial, but if I hadn't, you can read it right here. Closes the current screen and returns a result to the screen that opened this one. So basically what that is it's basically just going to be this. We're going to go ahead and we're going to return a list to that screen. And all that list is going to be is it's going to contain the username information and the password information. And since you guys are so observant, I'm sure you're asking that question, does it matter which one I grab? No, because ideally they're both the same, right? So I could have put textbox2 and password textbox1 or 2. I could have mixed them up in 6 different combinations or whatever. It doesn't matter because ideally this condition will not pass unless both of these are equal anyway, so they are interchangeable as long as you pick at least one password text box and create the list and the other username text box 1 and create the list. So with all of that good, well and good, the only thing left to do on this page is place an else statement in and say what if it fails, and if it does fail, we're going to place in a notifier component just like we did on the other page, and we're going to show an alert that will dismiss itself after a certain amount of time. And similarly, we're just going to put correct login. How much time are we using up on this? It's getting a little long. Alright, let's try to finish this up pretty quickly here. So, and while this is all going, we're going to open up TeamViewer so we can get ready to open this on our tablet. Alrighty. So, any hoosers, yeah, you can go ahead and go away for a minute. We're not ready for you yet. Let's go back to the designer. This page is now done. There's nothing else to do there. We're returning the information. If this succeeds, that's it. Good enough. So now we need to go back to the first, no. We need to go back to the first screen, screen 1. Alright. And we still need to do some more stuff here. What we need to do here is we need to say, let's see, no, screen 1 when other screen closed, and control is returned to this one. So this is what we need to do. So basically what I'm saying, what I said before, is whenever that screen is closed, we need to return to this screen and we need to do something with it. So just like I said before, we're returning a list to this screen with the username and the password. So this result that's actually coming from here is the username result, whatever. I don't even know what I'm saying, really. Let's see here. Yeah, we need to go ahead and we need to pull a thing out of a list. So what do we need to pull out of this list? Find the position of the thing of the thing in the list. It's not in the list. Return 0. That's not what I want. I want the index, right? That's the one I want. Index. Yep, that's what I want. Index returns the item at a position in the index, and the indexes start at 1. That's what I want. Yep. And then we need to do a tinydb store. So we need to pull a store into here. So what I'm going to do, and we actually need 2 of these. Right. Yep. So what I'm going to do here is these are going to be the tag components of the list, which the list, quite simply, is the result. The result is the list. And the number in the result stuff, blah, 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 is 1 for the username, right? Because that's what we selected. At least I'm pretty dang sure that's what we selected, right? Yep, the username is the first text box. No, why does it always do that to me? All right, back to the screen 1. Wow, this thing's got some glitches sometimes, and on top of that, my computer does not have enough RAM to run this at the same time as it's running everything else. Okay, 2. What we're gonna really seriously just store here, guys, is we're just gonna store for this. It's gonna be exists. And for this, it's going to be, I don't know, exist, I don't know. I don't even know why I'm going through all this. Alright, exists, exist. Okay, there we go. I'm typing out long words when I could have just entered letters, whatever. But the fact of the matter is now at this point, the app is done, theoretically. What we have actually that could be a potential problem, and I just now thought of this, is these have the potential to be entered in any which order currently the way this thing is designed. What I mean by that is that the password could be entered inside of the text box, and the text box could be entered inside of the password. So we actually have to probably cure that problem right now before we go ahead and create ourselves some issues. What we're going to do is we're going to change this back to equals, and we're actually just going to make these unique. We're going to say pass in here, I think. Yeah, we're going to do user in here. And like I said, the reason I did that is because if I don't do that, what we're actually going to run into is we're going to run into a wall to where these two things can be entered interchangeably. So I could enter the password in the username and the username in the password. We don't want that to be a possibility. We want it to where it has to be entered in the correct blank. So we had to fix that, and I actually had to make this unique stuff to where unique stuff will get stored in those values. Now we should have a database that should work and should have the ability to have multiple users. Let's hope so. I would really hate to find out that this is not going to work, but it better. Let's see here. Come on. See, this thing, this software that I use, this Team Viewer, to show you guys my app on the screen, sometimes it takes a while for it to ring in for some reason. Right now it's still saying activating. Should have prepared this beforehand, but of course we make that classic mistake of not doing this. So I'll tell you what, this is what I'm going to do, guys. While this thing is loading, I'm going to go ahead and pause this video, and then I will get back to it. Alright, so I'll see you guys in just a second. Alright guys, I am back. I was finally able to connect to my tablet here, so now we can finally see the screen. So before we actually get to the back to the app, there's one other thing I have to walk you guys through, and that is this. When we added this in here before, we're actually missing one part here. We need to add an if statement to this block. And the reason we need to do that is because if we don't, App Inventor is going to throw an exception error, and it's going to attempt to, whenever the main screen is closed or you back press it, it's going to attempt to call these functions because it's going to expect to see a return from those things, and it's going to try to call this, and it won't be able to call that because a result doesn't exist. So what we actually need to do is specify a screen name. This is just something that App Inventor is not smart enough to realize on its own, which screen, whether or not there's a result. So we have to tell it that there isn't, that only to analyze this loop here when it is coming back from the registration screen. So that's as simple as just adding a if statement here and then doing this. So now we won't get that error which will crash our app, because that's actually what will happen. Without this if statement here, which you guys need to understand about this is, if this if statement's not here saying only do this if you're coming back from the registration screen, it will actually crash our application and we'll have to restart it. So I guess that's, to put it simply, that's why this statement needs to be here, is if we don't have it, our app will crash whenever we try to back press on the main screen. So anyways, you guys can go ahead and you can build that and run it through, and what you're going to find out is you're going to get this result right here, a multiple logins type app here thing that we can see. And what we can see here is there's not currently anything entered into the database. I don't have anything. This is a fresh app. So what we'll actually have to do is we'll have to register for the first time. So we'll register, and as soon as the thing catches up, holy crap, man. Wow, that thing was lagging behind pretty bad. Alright, now we're all caught up. I'm just going to put in, I don't know, CS for CodedSteele, CS, and then I'm going to put in, I don't know, YouTube for the password, and YouTube for the password. Alright, register. Now hopefully all of it matches, and it does. So you guys can see immediately, as soon as we click register, we go back to the main screen. Now there is a user registered in the database, CS and YouTube. And then log in. Sweet, now we're on the main screen, just like people requested. But is this a multiple login app? Because if it isn't, then there was honestly no point in us making this, right? Because I made it to where, I was attempting to try to make this to where multiple people could log into it. Well, just to prove to you guys that this is a functioning multiple login screen, let's click the register button again, and I can enter in something else. I'll enter in T. Sure, why not? T 6789 6789. Sure, whatever. Register. Incorrect login. Oh, this must not match. Something must not match. 6789 6789. Register. Now register, please. There. Now it worked. My goodness, I don't know what the heck was going on there. That was a little weird. Now I gotta wait. Okay, it caught up. Good. T, and then 6, 7, 8, 9. You guys can see I can log in now under that new name. And just to prove to you guys that once it catches up, my goodness, it's moving slow. Alright, and just to prove to you guys that the old username is still in the database, CS, and then YouTube, log in. As you guys can see now, we have 2 registered users. So 2 people can now get in to this app. How freaking sweet is that? This is now, I mean, you guys can use this for all of your new apps that you guys want to create, where you want to isolate it and make it to where each person has their own username that they can use to get in and access the app. Obviously, it's not extremely secure because of the fact that all you have to do is register, and you can log right in to the same app that everybody else can log into. But you guys can customize apps, and you can set restrictions for apps and anything else that you want to do of your own accord. If anybody has any questions about how to set it to where only certain users can do certain things, I suppose if I get enough requests for that, I'll create a video on that and show you how you can create it to where information that's entered into an app, only certain users can see. With that, who entered it can see that information. We could do that in a future tutorial. But anyways, this tutorial's dragged on long enough. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in your next App Inventor tutorial.